What's going on, people? Good morning. Welcome to your morning view. We've got a lot to talk about. Owen is here. He's happy. He's ready to go Tuesday morning. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm ready to go Tuesday morning. You lot are not, annoyed that there's no football right now, that it's international break and everything seems to have just gone to a calm because that was the case. But to be fair, within the last 24 hours, and you add Bruno's comments and interviewed the Athletic into this morning, actually, there has been a little bit. There has been a little bit that's gone on, and we're going to talk about it right here on United View. Remember, oh, actually, no, I think the voting did actually
It's
stop.
closed. It's
It
closed
closed.
later
It
today.
closed.
Later
Yes.
today, we might find out, possibly, or whenever it
Yes.
was. I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
closed. I think we might have, and this is what's great about us here at United View. I think we might have been telling people to vote for us once voting was closed, just
Lovely.
to really drive home that point of
Spam the inboxes.
you can't vote, but if you could vote for us, please.
Spam the inboxes, mate. Spam the inboxes. But no, we've got a lot to talk about. So good morning to everyone. Ashley Williams says, good morning, all. What's up, people? Says Keith Thomas. Morning, UV Mafia, says Sean. Good day, folks, says Fat4. And Matimu who's been a member for 4 months of the members club as well. Big up to you. And he says, man, I love UV. Big up to you, man. Thanks for making the community what it is. And Fat4 says, I voted for UV in several categories. Wishes you all the best. So yes, we are going to hopefully get nominated. We'll keep you guys posted about that. We're going to talk about January transfer alert, right back priority, Varane fitness hopes, Donny van der Beek transfer options. We're going to be talking about a busy October. We're also going to be talking about Bruno Fernandes' comments with the Athletic, looking at that interview because I think it was very, very refreshing. But straight off the bat, January transfer alert, Owen.
Yes, Fabrizio Romano has been doing the rounds as always. Tell you what, it must be funny for Romano, mustn't it? Because he has this huge, busy time, and now he must take a breath. Take a breath, Fabrizio. Get some sleep. You need it. So he did an interview with United Stand, big up United Stand, talking about transfer topics, and said that Erik ten Hag wants the club to be ready in case there'll be opportunities in January. Now, the interesting part of this, of course, Flex, is that straight after the Europa League game on Thursday, one of the first things that Erik ten Hag said when he was asked, what are you going to be doing in the international break? He was taking meetings. I'm going to be taking meetings. We need to be prepared and we need to figure out what we're going to be doing going forward. Do you think that comes from his first experience, shall we say, of a Manchester United transfer window? He experienced the chaos. He experienced what it was like in the summer of not a lot going on for big stretches of time and then getting towards the end and maybe overpaying and missing out on certain targets and things being reevaluated. Arnautovic, Rabiot, and he thought, I am not doing
That
that
seems like
again.
ages ago, innit?
Yeah,
Rabiot and out of it. It doesn't seem. It seems like an absolute time ago. Like,
yeah.
but it really isn't. It
No,
really
no.
was just a few months ago. Yeah. Do I think it's that? To answer your question, yes, I do. The way you got to see it for me, or the way I see it, is that obviously he's been here longer this time in terms of the planning, and he's seen more, so we can make an even better informed decision. Obviously, the players that he wanted to bring in before he'd even started his reign were based off of, looking at us through video and, looking at the squad, what the squad might need, being on preseason tour, seeing some things early. He's had more time, more games, way more training sessions to really understand his players, really know his players. And you know what? He'll have a good idea about most of them now because he's that intense. And we'll get through to some of the comments that Bruno was talking about, which backs this up. So he'll have a better idea now, but he's still getting to know them. He still doesn't know what his players are like when we go on a bad run of form. We haven't won in 5 games or something like that, couple of draws, few losses. How do we respond um, through more winning? How do we respond in, pressure situations where if we don't win the game, we're knocked out of a competition or, players getting injured and, just longevity, things that only time can tell, things that he can't possibly know yet. So, and this is a manager that is so meticulous in his plan. We hear the same things from almost everybody who speaks about him, whether it's journalists like Melissa Reddy and others who have spent time around him. Not that me and KG are good sources to listen to, but whether it's us who have
Don't
been
put
around him and
yourself
say he's
down.
like,
Don't put yourself down. Inside sources. Come on.
whether it's us who say like he's like the head teacher and you really got to be strict, or for more credible people than me and KG, I would like to say, players and stuff like that who are talking about the manager and staff that we've spoken to as well, who work alongside him. they all say the same thing. And people who have experienced Ten Hag, i.e., all the Ajax fans, etc., and
Yeah.
former Ajax players, they all speak about him unanimously across the board. So I think he will be definitely true to his word in terms of meticulously planning, looking at what we need, looking at what we didn't manage to get in January, in the summer. That would already be annoying him. That will already
Mm.
be like, right, well, at first point, obviously it's difficult in January. Money wise, it's halfway through the season. It's just after the World Cup. People don't want to lose people. I get it's difficult. This is going to be an even more difficult January than normal because of that. But it's not going to stop him saying, if this right back becomes available or any of these, I want him. I want that as a priority. It's not going to stop him saying, if a forward becomes available, I wanted one anyway. So you get one. If there's a different type of midfielder, I want one. If there's a situation to help Donny van der Beek again, we look at that. Just loads of stuff. But yes, I think he definitely is doing that because he's seen what happened in summer.
And also, you spoke about him learning a lot about his players. Yeah, he's learning a lot about his players, who he can trust, who he can't trust. But he's also just learning a lot about just the club. He's learning a lot about his co-workers as well, right? Those people that are to the side of him, someone like John Murtough, or people above him, like Richard Arnold, and people like the owners themselves. He realized he has a better image of what Manchester United's all about when it comes to the recruitment and the day-to-day operational side of things, the executive structure at Manchester United now, that maybe he didn't before, or maybe when he was coming into Manchester United. Not that he was sold a dream or a pack of lies, but I'm sure they offered up the best version of Manchester United, or the optimized version of Manchester United, not the version that, again, does take time to do transfer deals, does sometimes haggle on prices and ending up overpaying. I'm sure he realizes exactly what Manchester United is like now in the transfer market. And that's not to say also that he hasn't been backed and he hasn't got the players that he wanted as well. So I'm sure now he realized, actually, if I push hard enough, I'll get the player. Someone like Anthony, that was off the table for a while because he cost too much, but he's a Manchester United player now. So I know how hard I have to push if I really want to get something. I know the hills I have to die on, as it were, if I really want to get these players in. So if they can prepare now, or if Eric Ten Hag can lay out a good case to bring in a certain player now, then he realizes, oh, come January, we can do business. There's been those discussions about possibly money being available, 70 million, maybe, possibly more if players do leave, and players could leave. Cristiano Ronaldo's future will be another point of discussion again come January. So he realizes that. And I think that he's probably also seen the way that United have started the season. First of all, terribly those first two games, and now showing that there is something there. I said this, and I think it was the morning show I had with Mina the other day, that arguably Eric Ten Hag's power has just only increased over the span of 2 or 3 months. I think Ten Hag has more authority now than he did walking through the door, because he's had that sort of audition period, as it were, of had a difficult moment in those first two games and had to grab more authority, say to those above him and around him, I'm in charge. You have to listen to me or this isn't going to work. It's begun to work. And now, going into a period of time where we're already planning for another recruitment window, he's got more authority and he can probably get more what he wants. And that's why he needs those meetings. That's why we need to be prepared. I mean, we were saying it, well, it was being screamed throughout the summer, wasn't it? The transfer window opened and people wanted deals to be done then and there. Maybe that's what Ten Hag wants as well. Maybe that can happen in January. I don't know. But that feels a lifetime ago as well, by the way.
It
Remember
does.
that? Remember
It
that panic?
does. Oh, mate, it feels like a lifetime ago. And you know what else is that Ten Hag, I think as well, he's seen like, look at the way we got Terrell Malacia. He's
Yeah.
seen that if he can identify someone quick, who is of decent value and is young and fits in with what we want, we've shown that we can act quick, which isn't the case with many transfers that we do, including this very window. Only Man United can do a little bit of both. Well, if you base it off how we got Malacia, that's exactly what we want to be able to do. Here's a bit of interest. I want this player. There's the bid. He comes and it's done. Obviously, every club wants their transfers to be like that. And I,
Yeah.
I understand the complexities that go through transfers, but there's no coincidence that Man United transfers in particular have a common theme of just always taking too long. I just never see it with other clubs. Again, in defense, I get the whole thing of Man United, the biggest club in the world, linked with players that have never even been linked with, agents trying it, players trying it to get better deals, clubs leaking little bits of information to unsettle things and make it look like someone like Manchester United is interested in buying for their own agendas. I understand all that, but even with that being said, I still think there's so many failings with the way that we've done business. Um, in the past. And definitely Ten Hag won't want that to continue. He will want, like you said, as his control gets greater, as his input gets more important, and taken more seriously, he will want things to run a lot more smoother. Definitely, and that starts from every single window. I mean, how many times does he keep talking about improving this squad? Like you said,
Yeah.
completely unprovoked. Unprovoked, he'll just go into it. Need to improve structure of
Yeah.
the club, players, everything. Plan it for January, mate.
And
September.
also as well, you have to remember, so how many players did we sign in the summer? 6, 5
Mm,
first team starters. 2 of those, and Anthony and Lissandro Martinez, we signed them because the players made that move happen. That wasn't genius from Manchester United. That was the player, particularly in Anthony's case, going, I'm leaving. Like,
yeah,
I'm
and
not.
Ten Hag as well.
Yeah,
Both of
exactly.
them.
And so, and I think Ten Hag would look at that and say, it doesn't need to get to that every single time. Because I'm sure Ten Hag as well, he's still got a connection to Ajax. I don't think he's probably thrilled how that whole situation planned itself out, or played itself out rather, because there's a bit of animosity now, you would think, between United and Ajax. I know there's the friendly feeling, Edwin van der Sar, but they're pretty pissed off. They
Oh, you
lost
would
two
be.
big
Yeah,
players, especially with how the Anthony situation
yeah.
ended. They couldn't wait for the transfer window to close because other players, especially after Martinez, look at the trend. It was Anthony as well. I forget Alvarez. They all starting to go, and I tell you what, if I go on strike, I'll get that move. And it sends a message to the rest of the Ajax squad too. So, and I think Ten Hag, bringing it back to him, would say it doesn't need to get to that every single time. We could have signed those players earlier. We could have done that business earlier for less money, and we'd be better prepared. Maybe we wouldn't have lost those first 2 games against Brighton and Brentford. And he's clearly realizes that, especially in how competitive the Premier League is. Let's be honest, we're on a great run at the moment in the league, but we might look back at those first 2 games of the season and say, yeah, that really cost us come the
Mm.
end, because it's going to be that close. So he doesn't want, he's a details guy, isn't he? He doesn't want it left to any kind of chance. And if he can, you would think he probably feels like if he can get ahead of these things, or if we can be proactive, then we can achieve some sort of success this season, depending on what that success is.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be crazy to see how that January window transpires, because it's not it's not an easy window to do stuff. Like, if you're
And it's
prepared
not
for it
typical.
and
And
you
it's not a
try,
typical January. That's the
it's
important
not
thing too.
exactly straight off the back of the World Cup, straight off of a bit of uncertainty. I think the first game after the World Cup, I believe, is Boxing Day, I want to say.
Yeah.
Which is weird in itself, because usually the lead up to that is just frantic. So there's gonna be
Mm.
no football for a while. People are gonna come back either fatigued or carrying little knocks, or maybe back from an early exit and refreshed. It's gonna be so you're gonna get so many different levels of fitness from
It's
different
going to be
players.
staggered because
Because
if
some of
you
the
get
big
to the final,
nations, yeah,
yeah, if you
exactly.
get to the final, basically,
You
when does
can't
the
come
World
back
Cup
and play.
end? Exactly. I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
the best
19th of
example of
December,
it,
something like
was AFCON last season, when you
that. Yeah,
had those players, and credit to them, people, that went like people like Mane, who went way deep into the tournament, and they were playing the next week. And the issue is, you could argue, well, they're up to speed because they were playing football, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. But eventually it catches up to you. 6 months' time, we've seen players now that did come straight back from AFCON in January. They're struggling at the moment. They're struggling to get fitness or get rhythm because it catches up to you. Eventually it
yeah.
will catch up. And we are going to see a situation in January, you're right, where some people go out in the group stage, so they get a large enough break anyway, they'll come back refreshed. But some people, you would think the bigger players, as part of the bigger, more favored nations, they're going to go further in the tournament. And because of that, when they come back, what kind of player you get in? What happens if one of your big players gets injured? There's always an injury,
Mm,
World Cup as well, or a European Championship. So it is really unprecedented. And that feeds into the January transfer window of there's going to be people that we never really heard of that much, or at smaller clubs, but they had a great World Cup. So suddenly they're worth a lot of money, because that happens all the time in the summer. It's like a big, it's like a big advertising. It's like a big shop window, isn't it? Really, have a good World Cup, you might get yourself a big move to the Premier League. So it's gonna be a really interesting and different January. I think I would predict that there's going to be more money spent in January than traditionally. Usually January in the Premier League, you do get big moves. You do get the clubs like Newcastle last season, but you do get the clubs lower down the table, don't you? Spending a lot of money. They got to get themselves out of trouble. New managers sometimes as well. So they spend big. Occasionally, you get a big club that sort of spends big on a big player that becomes available. You usually get one big one. But I think a lot of teams in January are going to be going after that pool of player that impressed at the World Cup, and maybe going back to Ten Hag, he thinks actually, you know what, we need to be prepared for that. We need to know those players are going to perform well at the World Cup before the World Cup even happens. So when they do have a World Cup, a good World Cup, we go, we've already had the conversations. They're in. That would be the ideal method for us.
Yeah, it's got to happen because you can see the way Eric Ten Hag is shaping his squad, and not to be too pessimistic, but I definitely want to avoid a situation where we go, look at that January. If only we would have, or if only we could have seen this or seen that. If only we could have given Ten Hag what he wants. But we'll have to wait and see. It's a long time away. We have to wait and see how that transpires. Moving kind of on to the next story, which is basically still to do with this, but it's about right back being a priority. And Fabrizio Romano, on the United stand, he said that Manchester United are looking at a right back as a priority for January or the summer. I mean, that's not rocket science, to be fair, because we know we're light in that area in terms of not just the availability of Wan-Bissaka, but the suitability of Wan-Bissaka. I think Eric Ten Hag made his mind up so early of what direction he was going to go in. And Wan-Bissaka is is the sort of player that, and this is all jokes aside, not even being disrespectful, he's just never going to fit that style. He's never going to fit this way of playing. I think the manager made his mind up on that very, very early, and it just wasn't a solution in that space of time of Ten Hag saying he's surplus and he's not going to fit into what I'm trying to do here. And Wan-Bissaka maybe going back to Palace or somebody somewhere else. But I think it's clear to see. I'm not going to say the reason why he hasn't played any of the games so far is all because Ten Hag doesn't rate him, because there's been other stuff there. I don't know if there was some bereavement. I think maybe a little bit of injury. I'm not too sure, so I'm not going to say I know. But what I do know is that he hasn't been playing for many reasons. And even before that happened, even from pre-season, you could see from what the first team was, it was just been a continuing theme since then. Sometimes he wasn't even playing in the pre-season games and he was there. So we need a solution there and not even just to, right now, right back is Dalot's spot. It's not even a conversation. And you know what? He also spoke, Fabrizio, on that interview about how Manchester United are happy with Diogo Dalot. Eric Ten Hag is happy with Diogo Dalot, and how can they not be? He's done really well. But let's not dress it up. Let's not act like we can't go for somebody better than Dalot. Let's aspire to get even higher. Why can't we get somebody better than Dalot or equal to Dalot and let them fight it out? This isn't someone just to come and play second fiddle to Dalot. He is the number one, rightly so is the number one, and looks like he's only going to keep getting better. But if you look out for a Dumfries or you look out for somebody else up and coming, why can't they come and be like a Malacia? It's that competition, that hunger that you want throughout the squad. I don't want just someone to just come and just sit there. And again, Dalot then gets into a routine of, right, I've always wanted this. I've made it. I'm now the number one right back. I'm never going to get challenged. I don't think Eric Ten Hag allows that to happen. So, yeah, I think we'll definitely be on red alert for a right back.
We had a conversation, when was it, at some point in the summer, where we were saying about Diogo Dalot and his quality relative to the other right backs in the Premier League. We were saying there might be
it's going up though.
My question was going to be, where is he now in terms of, if you had to rank him in terms of Premier League right backs?
If I had to rank him now, he's the way he's performing, he's doing everything right as it stands in this moment. You can call it a purple patch. We'll wait and see whether this is a purple patch. Or remember the first 10 games of the season? It wasn't the first 10, maybe like the first 8, because with the first 2 it was awful. You might look back and say he was really good for that 8-game period, and now he's back to this. So we need to, before we make that and say he is or he isn't, we need a whole season's worth of data.
You'd say right now.
Right now.
Because before,
he's up there with one of the best in the league in form.
To give him credit, before we were like, there's probably 10 right backs that are better than him in the Premier League.
Right now, he's better than Trent on form.
It's
right now.
Right now, absolutely
on form, and that's why you can't be out here saying that after 8 could get 5.
He's better than Trent.
Dalot's better than Trent. Because that's stupid. But that's why I mean, like, we have to do the sample size, and that's why it has to be answered with what you just said, which is right now, today, Tuesday the 20th.
Exactly.
Right now, he's playing really well. Obviously, Cancelo's playing amazing. Reece James is doing Reece James things, even though Chelsea have not been great. Ben White's playing all right. If you look, I'm just looking at the teams at the top.
Yeah.
Dallow's right in there, and we're not far off. I know Spurs are up there. They're not playing amazing football. You wouldn't look at Emerson Royale and say he's doing better than Dallow, but Spurs are just doing better because they're just Spurs in their way through things.
Yeah.
Dallow's up there with any of the best right backs in the league right now on form.
Yeah,
On
I
form.
think I
On
think
form.
a credit to him would be that if you spoke about those sort of top 6, 7, 8 teams in the Premier League, would Dalot get into all of their sides? Maybe not, because like you said, there are some better right back people like Cancelo, etc. But any club would have him, and I think that's a positive for him. You know what I mean? If you offered Diogo Dalot to any of these clubs, even City, they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know, I have Dalot in my squad." Of course, I would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'd have him as backup to Walker. They'd have him in the squad. I think.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
and I think that goes to, and I don't actually think that would have been the conversation 6 weeks ago. You know, and I think that's a credit to him. The concern is with Dallo is that he's playing every game for
That's what I
Manchester
mean. You
United,
can't keep
because
doing that.
we
Can't
really
keep
got
doing that.
Ian Beale says, "I've got nothing else,"
Yeah.
and and he can't, and like you said, he can't. He cannot keep that
Yeah.
up, especially with the World Cup and the Europa League schedule and the October schedule, which we're going to talk
Oh,
about in a bit. He cannot do that, and that's when you do look at. And I know sometimes as United fans, we get sort of too much in sort of gassing up these young players and saying, "Oh, they're going to be the next big thing." But if you didn't like Wan-Bissaka, Ten Hag, then and you couldn't get a right back, and I agree with what Romano's saying, that clearly we're going to be looking for, and we were looking for a right back in the dying days of the
before.
transfer
Yeah.
window. So it's no surprise we would continue to be looking for. We're still linked with free agent right backs at the moment, but if even then, Ethan Laird, I remember he played in the final preseason friendly, and he played all right. He
He's
played
playing
well.
brilliantly at QPR, I'll tell you
He's
that.
playing well at QPR. And
Yeah, yeah.
again, even if you're just going, oh, it's just for Europa League, why not? Why not bring him back
I
in
think because
January?
I think it could be testament to actually how good he is on the flip side, though, of like he can't just not play. He's at that point where he is that good. He just needs to keep playing men's football, championship football, week in, week out. He's had a couple of good
Mhm.
loans, some that haven't, injuries and stuff like that have held him back a bit. But when he's been playing, he's been really good, really good.
If
Bournemouth,
we
Swansea.
don't get a right back, then let's say if we don't get a right back come the end of
Do
January,
you
and it's
bring
like,
him back?
yeah, would you bring him back then?
Nah, I wouldn't.
Or do you think
I,
he would
I,
just be like, well, we'll
I
keep
just
him on
think
Bissaka?
Yeah, I think you just see it out then. I think, yeah, because I just think upsetting a young kid's rhythm who he could be in his absolute groove by then. The championship is grueling. What is it? Tuesday, Saturday,
Yes, 2 games a week.
consistently,
Yeah.
2 games a week, the whole year. That's doing his confidence and his experience the world of good. And he's getting a lot of praise from QPR fans. I've seen it online. I've seen how they've been talking about him and writing about him. I've seen a few articles on him and seen a few highlights of him as well, getting man of matches and stuff like that, and playing
Mhm.
really well. If you just stop that halfway through the season, kill his momentum, then what? We're getting through to the latter stages of the Europa League where Dallow's still going to start.
Yeah.
We're not going to go.
But then he might not start a Premier League game after that, because
Yeah, but just in exchange for like one Premier League game here, that I would rather keep him out. He's earned that right. I think that's unfair to the kid to say. I know it's Man United and you want to be here. And if you
yeah.
ask Ethan Laird, he might even say a different thing. I can't speak for
Well,
him, I
it
suppose.
would be more Man United games than he's playing currently, or has been playing currently.
Exactly.
If
So
he came back and was like, "Look, you're not going to obviously play as many games as you were at QPR, but we are going to need you because we can't have Dallo play every game.
mm,
You're going to play between now and, say he comes back in January. Between now and May, you're going to play 10
10
games."
games. Yeah, 10
I
games.
think he'd
Would you
take it.
rather
I
would you
think he'd
rather
take
would
it.
you play 10 games, but you've had that half in the championship, you was playing in the championship the year before that, you've proved you can play at that level, come back
Yeah.
with us second half of the season, you probably
10
get 10
games.
games.
I mean, and again, that's a minimum. Dallow's fitness record's very good, but you never know. And look, not only with the fitness record, but if you play well and you give me something to think about, who knows what can happen. But then I guess you're weighing up that between 10 games plus potential of more, or
Double.
January to May for a championship club, depending on how well you do in other things. That could be like 20,
Yeah.
25 games.
Well, imagine QPR. I don't know if they're tipped for promotion. I mean, we looked at the table, but imagine they get in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And he could go through that. I know you look at Jimmy
I was gonna
Garner
say,
now. He went through the
what we
playoffs.
could do is play him in the championship and just sell him next year, like we did with James Garner, right? He's ready for Premier League, so we're gonna get rid of him.
And look, James Garner's not even playing games at Everton.
I know.
Everyone's saying is this, is that, and we would like to have seen him given a chance, but Hasn't even really got in there yet. So yes, interesting to say the least. Smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. To let you know what we've got coming up this evening, we will have the Flex and KG show live at 6 p.m. So make sure you check that out later on as well. And drop a like onto this morning's video if you haven't done so already. Let's get those likes up if we can. I don't know if we've actually got a graphic for the next one because it's just going to change the order kind of on the spot because we were going to talk about Varane's fitness hope, which we will talk about. But I just want to get
dare
these
you? Josh will
Bruno.
be furious.
He will. But this Bruno thing, we got to talk about it because it's hot off the press. It's only just kind of happened. Even if we just go to blank or whatever, it doesn't matter. But this Bruno interview that he's done with The Athletic, I thought was really refreshing. There's a clip that he speaks about basically why he's a wind-up, basically why he's a pain in the ass, basically why he is the way he is. And you know what? As annoying as Bruno can be, it's kind of like, you can't speak for everyone in the fan base, but you get the feeling that he's our pain in the ass. Like a player like that on your team is fine. The way he moans, like remember when Liverpool scored? Was it and then he wouldn't let the ball go? Or was that Arsenal? Was it Arsenal? Was it Liverpool?
It's Liverpool.
Both.
Liverpool.
Could have been both.
It was Liverpool because they scored, and technically it's our kickoff, so we can have the ball. And in reality, everyone does that because you only keep the ball like that when you're pissed off, don't you?
100%.
They're trying to get the ball off you, and then they touch you and you fall down. What happened? Physicality. It was too much. I've got the quotes in front of me, by the way.
I think read some of them out. I think it's really refreshing.
I think this is the one you're referring to that you like. Again, this is from The Athletic. Quote, I can even fight with somebody who is my friend away from the pitch. I play against Wolves and there are many Portuguese players, but if I have to kick them, I will kick them. If I have to moan at them, I will. Basically saying, look, I don't care about international stuff. I don't care about friends. I care about winning. And, in fairness, for the criticism that we've thrown a lot at Manchester United players in the last however many years, I was going to say 2 or 3, but it could be longer than that, of this doesn't look like a group of players that want to win. You could argue that when Bruno signed for us in, when was it, 2019, 2020, one of the biggest standout things about him was that, like, clearly he wanted it. He wanted to win every game, like you said, for better or for worse, for his moaning, for his rolling around, for his arms flailing, for him going up to the referee. He wants to win. And that's really what rubs off. Some more quotes. He talked about Ten Hag. He says, first of all, he has an idea. He has a style. You have to follow his rules. He is strict on that. And I like that. He has brought discipline, which is something I think we missed in the past. Everyone must be on the same page, which I think is very key there.
That's a big bit there, saying that, discipline has been missed. Like we didn't have it. That's
Yeah.
concern. Well, obviously we know that because we saw where the squad was. It's not a secret. But, when you hear players kind of reinforce it, it just takes away any reasonable doubt, doesn't it? That, there was just no standards.
You look at it and go,
no accountability.
You look at it and go, we weren't wrong. We weren't, like, the perception, because sometimes
it's not just media bullshit.
Sometimes what you see, it's it's not always what is really going on. But in this case, perception was reality when it comes to Manchester United, when it comes to that attitude
no
on
discipline.
The pitch. No, exactly. No discipline. So that's important there. He also says, we still have a margin to improve, and Ten Hag, needs time to get the most out of us with his idea of playing. I believe we can get to the point with him where we are established as a team and everyone is on the same page. He also talked about Ralf Rangnick, which is quite interesting.
He said I haven't seen that bit.
He said it is nothing to do with Ralf. He tried his best. He is a good manager with good ideas, but it did not fit with everyone. This is because the team had been built with Ollie and his idea, and then a new manager comes in with his own idea.
All right, here's the thing on that, yeah? Here's the thing.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But also, it's the short-termism of Ralf as well, because the players knew this is till January, then I'm going to have to prove myself to a new guy, i.e. Erik Ten Hag. So that's the guy I'll take seriously. Look, Ralph's methods rub the players up the wrong way and things like that, because, we all, as fans, it was like, the players just ain't got the mentality for it. They're all wimps. Like they ain't got the minerals basically to accept this change. The board and all the coaches sorry, the people who make the decisions, the owners and stuff, they don't like hearing the truth. The fact the team does need open heart surgery. The fact the team does, need a whole bunch of new players. Because let's not get it twisted. Ten Hag is doing the open heart surgery. He is. He actually is. He's brought in
6
5 new
signings.
starters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
6 signings,
like
5 starters.
that's basically half the team. That is open heart surgery. And then in
Yeah.
the next phase, he's already saying January need more, mate.
Mm.
He's already saying summer need more. Already saying need to change the structure. So it's just that they didn't like the way that he said it and weren't willing to accept it then and act upon it because they could see that he wasn't being received well and there wasn't any longevity in it. Because look, because Ten Hag is basically doing what Ralph is done. He's just not
I think
saying it in the way.
I think also, if you read between the lines of what Bruno is saying there, he's basically saying an interim manager can never work because,
Yeah.
like you said, it's the short termism. As he says there, he's a good coach. He's got good ideas, but that's a team that's never ever going to be built in his image because he's never going to get the time to do that. So he's basically picking up someone else's team and a team that's in a bad situation as well. And as you mentioned, the players know he's only going to be there for 6 months or to the end of the season. So he's basically saying, look, it's a substitute teacher. It was never going to work. Never, ever going to work. Not because he's a bad guy, not because, maybe they didn't like clearly some of the stuff that he was saying, but his tactics weren't suited to that team because it's not his team and it never was going to be their team.
If
How can you
Ralph,
commit? How
if
can you commit
Ralph,
to that project? Ten Hag's all spoke so much about players have got to buy in, players have to commit, players have to understand my rules. You're more willing to understand the rules of the guy is going to be here regardless, as opposed to the guy that is going to be gone in 6 months' time. How
if
can you
Ralph would
buy
have got the
into
job
that?
permanently, would it have changed a lot of stuff?
I think maybe. I think
Yeah.
that certainly the mindset of a lot of people there,
Yeah,
where they
because
think,
you're
well,
stuck with him.
I've
Shit.
got, yeah,
He's
yeah,
gonna get rid of me in the summer anyway. Let me just. It's
exactly,
that thing of the supply teacher. Don't
yeah,
care about the homework's not ready in time. Don't care
mm,
what are you gonna do if you give me the
exactly.
detention. You know what? Furthermore, I ain't even gonna turn up because you
No,
ain't gonna be here
exactly.
tomorrow to say why weren't you even at the detention?
We
Like,
we got rid of permanent managers. The club chose permanent managers over us. You think an interim manager is going to do anything, really?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
They
Because
they
they've
do that.
definitely got their acts together with Ten Hag, and like I said, Ten Hag is basically doing the surgery slash the job that Ralph Rangnick wanted to do. He's doing the things that Ralph Rangnick would have wanted midfield sorted, would have sorted out centre half. Don't get me wrong, he didn't manage to get Varane going. But again, that took some planning to do. He was in the middle of a season, probably couldn't have done it. But he would have got the better players playing. He wanted players like Nkunku. He wanted other players like Vlahovic or other up and coming players who were doing all right. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like what Bruno's saying is really refreshing, and that's what I was going to say. I said, just come back to my head. Like your opinion on Bruno. Actually, no. I'm going to be. Let me say mine. Speak for me, because some people just listen. He is what he is.
You don't speak
My
for me, Flex. How dare
Yeah,
you?
you don't represent me. It's just important to do that. My opinion on Bruno can sometimes fluctuate. Never from the hunger side of it, and he wants to win, and the leadership side, but from like a quality side. Like if we're going to go in a new direction, this question mark has kind of partially existed for me on a personal. I don't know how people feel in the chat over what does this form of Bruno look like in a team that wants to play a different way. So when Bruno first come, unbelievable breath of fresh air, brought a winning mentality, but more importantly, brought the quality and the goals and the assists that we needed at the time when we had nothing. We had no playing style. We're still only just developing one now, and we were under vibes and smiles under Ollie. That's what it was. And he was a bit of a savior in it from Lingard and Mata and Pereira in the 10. Just we didn't have anything, right? But then when it dried up a bit and we went through that awful transition, obviously he was basically null and void completely. Like he dropped some real bad stinkers, as did a lot of players. And I just wondered that when Eric Ten Hag came in, how would he tame someone like Bruno, and how would he get the best out of him? Would Bruno change? And I think Bruno is more disciplined now. In his decision making. I think he's buying into. I think he's buying into how Ten Hag plays because, and when I say more disciplined, I don't mean by he's not going to try passes, he's not going to try that. But when do you see Bruno running around out of the shape, trying to press just like by himself, running past the
No,
forward,
you
going
don't
past the
see that.
wingers? Like when Cavani was here, remember Bruno? He literally used to run about the whole gaff everywhere and it used to be rewarded in claps in terms of everyone else was crap, but it was like Bruno's trying hard. I'm like, but this is part of the problem. Not saying he shouldn't be doing well. Either Ollie's saying just have a complete free reign, or he's going against what the tactics are, which God knows, who cares. But where I'm saying where he's more disciplined is in that area. But because he's got a manager now who's allowing him to be facilitated better, it now allows Bruno to have that freedom to try those things. Look, Arsenal was the perfect example of that, those through balls and how he was playing that. Someone like Ericsson finding him. It's not just on Bruno's not coming deep and trying to get the ball and hit 40-yard balls. He ain't doing that anymore because he's more disciplined in this
I don't
system.
know. I don't know if that's discipline. I think Bruno is largely the same. I think the difference is, and you kind of touched on it there, is because Bruno would have to do stuff advanced and he'd also have to do stuff deep because there was no one from deep that could find passes. Now there is Ericsson from deep that can find passes. Bruno can still do his Bruno stuff. It's just higher up at the pitch. So that sort of, he doesn't have to be running around the entire pitch or trying to put, get passes from deep onto and then run onto them himself, or try and find people that can't, run onto those passes because Ericsson's going to do that. So I don't know if so much Bruno's mentality has changed or he's more disciplined. I think his press, it's just almost controlling him. He's still pressing the same amount that he was under Ollie or Ralph. It's more structured because Ten Hag goes, do it there. Do it there. Don't do it around the entire pitch. Do it there. Do it in these more.
That's why I think he's pressing less. That's
But
what I would love to see a stat to see the
I don't
long
know if it's.
passes he's attempted now versus the long passes he's attempted before.
I would say I would
That
argue
mad
that the difference
40-yard
is
pass we
it's
don't see
Ericsson.
anymore.
I think Ericsson's the
Exactly, it's
one that's kind
completely
of.
changed it.
Yeah, I
He's
think
made
I don't. But
even
again,
he's
I
made
don't
him
know if
more
that's Bruno
disciplined.
changing. I don't know if that's Bruno changing though. I think that's
I
controlling Bruno.
I well then it's basically the same term, but it's basically a different term, but the same meaning. Because basically what we're saying is that Bruno's not doing what he was doing before.
No, because he doesn't have to. That's the difference.
There you go. So it's either he's not doing it because he thinks he don't have to because he's changed, or like you said, he doesn't get the chance to do it anymore because the team plays a different way. But either way, like the definitive like statement is that Bruno is not doing what he used to do before, which was
No.
run around like a madman, shoot from 40 yards and force it, do mad passes from deep, come deep, try and ping it 30 yards, play the killer ball over the top. He's just not doing that anymore. Like he's playing in a different way. So when I had those reservations of what would he look like in a team that wants to play ball, I think I'm starting to find my answer on a personal. I think it looks like this, and that's credit to Ten Hag. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, any way you want to split it, whether it's Bruno being disciplined or him being controlled, which is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Either way, that's Eric Ten Hag doing it. That's it.
yeah,
Ends with
yeah.
Eric Ten Hag having that influence.
He's
So
got a
credit
hold of
to
it
him.
all, basically,
Yeah,
yeah, and
exactly.
just managed to knit it together. Um, let's big up the community first. Get some likes on the video. Let's smash a like. Can we do that, please? Where are we at now? We're at just under 200.
He sounded so.
I was
Can we
like,
do that? Can we do
can we
that?
do that, please? Can we do
Please?
that? Could we do that? We're not even at 200. It'll be nice to do that. We're over 1,000 people watching, so that'll be nice. If we could do that. People were scared we was going to go into a whole Ericsson section there. We won't be doing that. We won't be doing that. I promise. Let's Varane fitness hope though, because
Have you missed the
he's
super
on
chat?
international duty. Oh, is that super chat? I can't see any. My bad. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. There you go. Lil Yo-Yo says, "Did you see the sly dig at Arsenal's Pepe from Bruno?" No, I missed that bit. What did he
I didn't
say?
see that. No, I didn't see
Yeah.
that either.
Let us know in the chat, Lil Yo-Yo, what he said. Any slander on former Arsenal players or Arsenal, I am here for. A super chat from Ten Hag Ball as well. Says right back from Monaco, Vanderson is very good and Brazilian. Okay, haven't say I've heard of him before, so we shall see. Because we made a mistake on Kim Min Jae. You
Oh,
know, we made a mistake on
I'm
Kim
getting
Min
tagged and
Jae.
stuff now on social media going, look at him. Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. And Amobism is the latest member of the UV Members Club as well. So big up to you. Thank you for joining. Remember, you too can also join the UV Members Club if you would like to. The link is in the video description below, as always.
Yeah.
This won't take long, this bit. This won't take long because all I am saying is I am crossing everything that can be crossed, talking to the gods that be anywhere around the world or whatever, superstition, jinx, whatever you want to do. Just don't get injured, Varane. Please, 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 please.
I mean,
Thursday, I'll be
I'll
watching
be
that game.
honest. I'll be honest. I brought this one up because there's been a pattern forming, hasn't there, with Rafael
I
Varane?
know what you're gonna
Is
say.
that
I know, I
he
know.
plays well for Manchester United, and then what happens? He goes on
Mm,
international duty and he gets injured. We can protect him. We figured out how to do it. All right, Ten Hag and his fitness people, they figured out how to do it when it comes to Rafael Varane. They put him on a different fitness program. They figured it all out. France haven't figured it out. And what happens, Flex? What happens is we come back from international duty. First game is Man City away, and Varane's injured.
I know. Don't, don't. I mean, already that game is a tall order. Where if we're talking about that game just really quickly, because it's in relation to this, I'm already saying, look, it's not a free hit. I believe we can go there and give a good account of ourselves. But if we're going to lose, if we did lose, it's the manner. It's if we didn't win, it's the manner of the performance, etc. But one thing we do need is our best team out there. We can't afford one of the big dons out. We're just not at that level yet. We saw what happened against Sociedad when we try and make a few changes, and that's at home to Real Sociedad, let alone away to Manchester City. So we need that back four to be exactly what we know it needs to be. We need the midfield. I'm not getting into the Casemiro McTominay thing, but we need the midfield to be. We need the midfield to be the midfield that Eric Ten Hag knows it needs to be, and we need one of. You'd argue, you'd probably need one of Martial or Rashford back, for that counter attack and that mobility. Because it seems weird saying a massive game against City with Ronaldo there. Obviously, if he plays, of course he can score at any moment. But just the way we've been playing. But Varane, especially at the heart of defense next to Martinez with what they've been doing together, vital. And if not, I'm putting Lindelof if it ain't him. I swear I'm playing Lindelof ahead of Maguire in that game.
I'm gonna be honest, Flex. I'm
If
really
that
worried about it.
happened, we're talking like
I'm really.
he's injured. Hold on,
I
he's
know,
not
but
injured.
I'm already. I am worried about it, to be
I feel
honest.
like we should stop talking about it because we're going to jinx
All
it.
right, okay, move on.
Yeah,
Fine, no problem.
it's a
Move
hope, a
on.
fitness hope. We hope you don't get injured. Let's never talk about it again. Please,
Never ever
just
talk about it again.
never ever bring it up. Donny January options. I want to talk about this because
Wow.
Fabrizio Romano said on the interview with United Stand as well. He also spoke about there could be options in Italy and England for Donny van der Beek in January, and we kind of had a little bit of a discussion about it where it leads into people think you've got a Donny agenda, but
Well, no,
your concern.
People don't. Flex. You have made this. You have
No, they
fostered
do.
this.
No, they
Yeah,
do.
because of you.
I haven't
Because
made
you
that
do.
up. I haven't
You
made that
do.
up.
You did. I can't remember which show it was. You went, well, Owen's got a bit of a problem with Donny. And now look at him.
No.
This
Hold
is
on,
what
hold on.
Flex does. Now he's getting into his Shakespearean, Oscar-worthy acting. Look at him. He's doing the confused. Have I? Have I? No, I don't.
Mate, the community, right? We've got a really, really strong community, right? They know us inside out because they watch every show, right?
Yeah.
So they know and they pick up on things. They know that Varane's kind of my favorite-ish. Shouldn't really have favorites, but they know I love Varane. They know I love Ericsson. They know that, well, you don't really give off who you love that much, but they also know that you don't rate Van der Beek that
Impartial.
much. They know that. Your volume's
I
gone
don't
down a
know.
little bit as well. I don't know why.
Has it?
Yeah, I don't know if
I'm
you've
not
got the
sure.
mic a bit further away or something, but yeah, go on.
I'll try and fix it. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'll try and fix it. You carry on talking about how much I hate Donny van der Beek. My volumes, my levels fine. My level's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. In my ears,
No.
it was just a little bit less, but it's fine. It's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Yes. No, Donny van der Beek. Look, I've never said he's a bad player. Donny van der Beek is a good player. But how many managers now? That's Ollie, Ralph, and even his own guy, is saying, "I'm not going to play that much." But he's not picking him. He's not picking him at all. And when it comes to this story we're talking about here, Romano said Eric Ten Hag knows that Donny needs to play. He wanted Donny to stay immediately on arrival at Manchester United. He sent a clear message to the player. However,
That's the one.
there could be options in January and Italy for Donny van der Beek should he leave in January. And Donny van der Beek, Flex, is he going to the World Cup?
Of course not. Of course not.
And again, the thing is with Donny,
that's going to be his deciding factor for him. I think when he doesn't go to that, he's going to go, do you know what? This is my third year here. This is my third year here. I don't even think he's made 50 appearances. Has he even made 50 appearances?
Doubt it. I don't think
No,
so.
actually, no chance. I don't. How
No chance. No
many appearances
chance.
has he got for Man
And
United?
also, and again, it's a case of, and I understand you have to have a run of games, and I understand you could argue, but he's never started 4 or 5 games in a row, and this, that, and the other. But also, if that is the case, when you do come on, you have to make an impact, take your opportunities, do something. And a lot of the time, he does come on, and what does he do? Not a lot. And then when I say this, some people get upset because they go, "Oh, it's what you don't see that he does. He makes good runs off the ball, and he does. His
He's
movement
made
off the ball is
53,
good."
53 appearances.
Yeah, someone said in the chat, there was a tweet. I remember it. I remember the tweet. I remember when Donny made it was like 50 appearances for Donny van der Beek, and everyone went, "Yeah,
Oh,
right
yeah.
off."
What? And he's only made 3 more since then? Because I remember when that happened. Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was quite a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But yeah,
it
my
was.
point is that when he does come on or he does play games, you do go, okay, well, what's he done? We're all, and this is the thing as United fans, and I can speak for myself here. When he does play or when he does come on, you really want him to do well. You really do. Like when he starts a game, you go, finally, Donny's starting a game. Come on, then let's show people what it's all about. And every single time the game ends or when he comes on, you go, I guess some nice passes, some nice touches, a few nice runs, but you need more. You do need more than that. And I understand. I think KG said it. Or what? He just needs everyone's around and needs to be a good player for him to play well. What kind of reality is that, though? It's just football. Even if you're surrounded by bad players, it makes it difficult to play well. We did it with Paul Pogba for how many years at Manchester United, but eventually, your quality does have to show through. It does have to shine through, and it doesn't with with Donny for whatever reason. And even I know when he went to Everton, he had injury trouble, so he couldn't really have a lot of games where he could prove himself. I think when he
Injured
made his
again now.
debut, he did play well. Yeah, and it's a string of bad luck because he would have played in the Europa League in both of those games, but he didn't. He played okay on pre-season. There was a 45 minutes, I think, where he came on and he played really well, and we played some good football. But that's pre-season. And if your manager, the guy that brought you through the academy at Ajax, played you all the time, played you in Champions League semi-finals in that 10 spot, if even he at Manchester United is going, yeah, you're good enough for the bench, maybe we have to just come to the reality that he's just not suited for Manchester United or he's not suited to the Premier League. I don't know. And I know that he was meant to be going to Real Madrid before we got him. And the only reason he didn't go to Real Madrid was because of the pandemic and finances. And the thing is with Donny is I'm sure if he went to Real Madrid, he'd have probably done all right. He'd have played every week and different style of football and the way they play, but he didn't, and I just don't know. I haven't. When do you eventually go, okay, then maybe it's not for him.
So my
Paco's telling me to
analysis.
relax.
So my
I'll
analysis
calm
of
down.
what Owen, yeah, basically
I've
said
got to
is
scream
basically
because my volume's too low.
that. um, Lil Yo-Yo has a super chat, and Lil Yo-Yo says, Owen's Van der Gender. There's bare games coming. He'll play. There's a lot of games coming. Here's the thing, yeah. There's one thing about loads of games coming, and then there's another thing of like making it at Manchester United. So basically, the trajectory that we had for Donny van der Beek was to come in and was like what Eriksen's done. Like he was supposed to come in and really be like this top player, Ajax philosophy, playing really well, really technical player. Um, and I think Donny will play some games this year, but only because of the reason what you just said there, Lil Yo-Yo, because there are a lot of games. So it's stopgap settings like fill in here, fill in there. You're not basing anything around him. I don't know if he's going to be. I don't think he's ever going to have a top impact for us in terms of a top player. Of course, he can come on in a game and score, and then someone can say, "Sit down, see, look what he just did." But in terms of
I
the
hope so.
consistency, and yeah, 100%, hope so. But I do see what you mean, Owen. About it's weird that even his own guy has come here and there's been no change. It's literally been the same treatment of Donny van der Beek, like not playing games, obviously coupled with injuries. I do think there is a player in there. I do think that if you gave him a run of games in our team, we could see some of his qualities. But when you have Eriksen playing like he is, when you have Bruno playing like he is, how's he ever going to replace them two? And then he's not going to, he says he can play in the six and stuff like that. But we can see already by Ten Hag's philosophy that one of them's got to be a bit of a destroyer, someone who can win back the ball, a Casemiro, a Fred, a McTominay, that type of midfielder. And we were trying to get Frankie de Jong as well on top of that. So Obviously, that's not going to happen anymore. But I'm just saying, imagine if he would have come as well. That would have been
Well, put it
Bruno,
this
Frankie De
way.
Jong, and Eriksen
Put it this
ahead of
way.
him.
If Bruno or Ericsson got injured, do you think Donny comes straight in and starts starting games for Manchester United? I don't think he does.
If Bruno,
I
if
don't think.
Bruno, if Bruno or Eriksen got injured, yeah, no,
Yeah,
he'd probably just do Casemiro and McTominay as the
yeah,
first bit, wouldn't he? Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
he'd shift it. He might shift Ericsson up to a 10. I don't
yeah,
think again,
yeah.
and
Might do
I
that.
don't
Yeah.
even think we can use the argument of, oh, it's just because Ericsson and Bruno are playing well. That's the reason Donny's not playing. I think if they were injured, I don't think Donny would play. And again, it's not because he's a bad player, but you look at how things are at United. I don't think they would.
He's only playing in the rotate. Like if he was fit against Sociedad, he would have played.
Yeah, he would have played in that
He'd have
game,
played in the
and
10 apart from
maybe,
ahead of Fred.
you know, but we've said this a million times with him. Maybe he would have had a good game, and that might have led to Ten Hag having a bit of a question going forward. But I don't even know if it would. We'd have probably gone out of that game going, "You played
Mm,
okay, some nice part," because that's what it's been. How many games have there been with Donny where he has come on or he has done? You go, he played really well. I remember against Watford, it was Ollie's last game. He came on, he was really, really good.
yeah,
He scored on his debut when
we
United were rubbish.
lost that as
We
well.
lost. But I can't think of a ton of games. Like,
No, no, he doesn't. He's not an
and
impact
again, I
sub.
get
He's
it,
not an impact sub,
and
though.
that's what I mean. Like,
He's not.
I just,
He's not.
but
He's not even that type
where
of
does his
player in
impact
general.
come from then?
Yeah, and that's what's unfortunate for him is that it has to in this team at this club where it is now. You've got to show something whenever called upon. That there's no. You're not at
You don't,
Ajax where
you
you're going to
don't
get
get at
30
Manchester
games in a
United.
row.
Yeah, at Manchester United, you don't get just 10 games.
No.
Unless you're Harry Maguire. But we've already seen what happens if we keep saying for players again like Maguire of they play game after game after game, and you go, oh, how well are they playing? Because eventually, after time, you go, oh, maybe it's just not working. Then clearly,
Mm,
and we all want it to, but yeah,
yeah.
whatever.
I think it would be very telling again if he goes on another loan in January again to try and get fit, and then it's like it'll be after the underwhelmment of the missing out on the World Cup. It'd be fuming. Obviously, we'll see how well the Netherlands do, whether they go far in it or not. But it'll be something you want to be part of. And I think when he doesn't make that squad, which is inevitable that he won't, that will be the final straw for him. Because I think when we get back off this international break, you look at the games that we've got coming up, and actually that leads us into the next topic, which is the busy schedule. Actually, to be fair, we'll lead in with Donny into that busy schedule, but I know we'll get the fixtures up, but he is going to play in that off of like just oh, we just need you to fill in to keep the main team fit. Like it's not the role that he wants. It's not going to be sustainable, for him. And a lot of players have had a great career at Manchester United by being a squad player. That is a role. That is a role at a football club. Being known as that
Yeah,
squad
and
player.
again,
It
it's not
happens.
to say I'm
So,
not
but I
sitting
don't
here
think he
saying
wants
Donny's
that.
bad. I'm not sitting there
No,
saying Donny's bad. I'm
he's a
just
good
saying that.
option to have to bring in. Is that?
Yeah, just saying that managers have clearly come to the same conclusion when it comes to him. And I don't know, in comparison to others, how effective he's going to be at Manchester United. And I look, if he goes in January on a low move, I hope that would work out. And hopefully, then he does need to regularly play because he's not doing that at the moment at Manchester United. But when he went in January, that didn't work out either. So it's all very unfortunate, isn't it?
Super shout here from Troy Superstar, who's always claiming we're going to win the league and is KG's best friend. Clearly clueless about Donny. He is class. Leave him alone. Please upgrade your software. Where is KG? Anyways, we are winning the league. Period. Full stop. That's weird.
I
Period. Then
mean,
a full
that's
stop.
yeah. Well, and also like you started off so wow, and then when you end it with winning the league,
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
hopefully, Troy Superstar has the laugh and gets to come back in May and said,
Oh, I
"You
would
lot all
love
call
it.
me Trent."
I would love it with Donny
Yeah,
van der Beek lifting the trophy. Could you imagine?
100%.
And to be fair, if we do win the league, I have to shave my head because I committed to that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's a good,
Lil Yo-Yo says he had some bad games. Oh, he's talking about Pepe. He had some bad games, and everyone was saying he still has to adapt. But when Bruno was having a bad game, it was just because he was moaning or not focused on the game. Bruno's shame. He's such a bastard. Because he said this one time when when people were getting onto him about the penalties or something, and he was like, "Yeah, there's still goals or something like that. If I don't score them, or something,
it's
still
such a
have to score."
stupid.
He loves it. He loves it, Bruno.
Yeah,
He loves it.
yeah. There's always something, isn't there? Oh yeah, Fernandes or whatever. Oh, so whenever we get a penalty, we should just miss. So they
Yeah,
don't count flex. They don't count. A load of rubbish.
yeah. Everyone was saying that you don't score from open plays, penalties, Fernandes, all this. Yeah, exactly. It's all gone now, isn't it? They all laughed.
Mm,
It's funny, and now we're getting a decent version of Bruno again, reinvented, or maybe not reinvented, but reinvigorated.
mm.
But this busy October, Owen, have you got the fixtures
Yeah,
there?
I got the fixtures in front of me.
Run through it because it
Nine
is mad.
9 games in 29 days. So 2nd of October, we've got Man City away. 4 days later, we've got Omnia. Is that how you say it? Away.
Omnia,
Omnia, close, not at all.
no.
Omnia away 4 days later. Then 3 days later, we've got Everton away. 4 days after that, we've got Omnia at home. 3 days after that, we've got Newcastle at home. 3 days after that, we've got Tottenham at home. 3 days after that, we've got Chelsea away. 5 days after that, we've got Sheriff at home. And then 3 days after that, we've got West Ham at home. That is 9 games in 29 days. That's pretty much a game every 3 days in October. That is insane. That is
Yeah,
stretching your squad thin. We're talking about rotation. If Donny's fit, he's playing. He's playing in October.
Oh,
He
now
has
you
to.
want him. Oh, now you want him.
I never said I didn't want him. It's just a case of whether or
Yeah,
not he's
I'm
good
only
enough.
joking.
Look, this is the run of games that he wants, really, because he's gonna be playing every week at least
Yeah,
in the Europa League, because those Europa League games, whilst they could be banana skins, they're the games we're expected to win, right? Omnia, Sheriff, they're the ones that we're looking at. But there are big games as well in their flex. Like, we're talking about a game every 3 days, but Man City away, Newcastle at home, Tottenham at home, Chelsea away, West Ham at home,
no
Everton
easy
away. We
games.
lost there last
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
That is,
And Everton
come
at
the end
home,
of
they were right.
October.
They're rubbish.
Yeah,
But at home, they're tough. Yeah.
100%. Come the end of October, if we manage to get out of that in a bit of a
Yeah,
positive
yeah.
stretch, you would start to say, well, that's not bad.
This is a real. I mean, after this international break, it is business time. Like
Mm,
it really is business. I know the October's crazy, but obviously the first game, and even though it's still in September. Oh no, is it still in? No, it's not. Is that going to be? When is that City game? It is in October, isn't it?
October.
All
October,
right,
yeah.
sorry, yeah. So that's when we're there. That is business end. Like that lead up to the World Cup, really. Because does that take us up to the World Cup? Them 9 games.
I think there's maybe like a game or two after that, because it's beginning-ish of November, I think, that they break up. I'll have a look.
Yeah.
Or you're looking.
Yeah, I'm looking now. So that takes us up to 6th of November, 13th. So we break on the 13th of November, Fulham away.
Yeah.
So after West Ham, we got Sociedad away, Villa away, and then Villa again at home in the cup, and then Fulham
But
away. So we've got 4 games.
this is really the
But
bulk of action. That's the bulk of action before the World Cup, really.
but even that though, it carries on because the third is the 30th of October. Then on the 3rd, we've got Sociedad. Then
So
3 days after
3 days
that,
later. Yeah.
we've got Villa.
It's still games
Then
every
4
3
days after
days.
that, we've got Aston Villa, and then 3 days after that, we've got Fulham.
And it
So
must be
it's
said,
all the way up
like,
to the World Cup. It's this fast turnaround all the way
yeah,
through
and
to
Ten
November
Hag has
13th.
been saying that, hasn't he? He
He's been
did say, I
saying it.
mean, now it might be a shock to us now when we see it on paper and we go, oh my goodness. But he's been
Yeah,
saying since the summer, like, it's going to get to a point where, because of the World Cup, it's a game every 3 days and we're going to need everyone. And clearly we are. And the only, I guess, concerning thing about that, Flex, is that we've got to a point now where we're like, if we name this starting 11, we're confident we'll win. But we
yeah.
can't name the same
Well,
starting 11
that's
throughout
the
the
bit I was
entirety
just
of
about to get
this month.
onto. This is the next bit for Eric Ten Hag, which again, you don't want to put too much, stuff at his doorstep. But for us to have a successful season, what I'm about to say, I think is true. He's got to find a way to get that second team. Obviously, it's only been one outing so far against Sociedad, and then they lost. Look, we probably shouldn't have lost that game. We should have just drew that 0-0, let's say, right? Because they didn't play very well. But we've got to
Yeah.
find a way of getting that second team. That's a mix of players who are just continually fit. You can keep going, 1 or 2 of those constants, but large changes. Got to find a way of getting the likes of Fred, Casemiro / McTominay, whoever's coming in, Donny van der Beek, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw, who else? Alanga, one of Ronaldo or Martial, whoever's coming in, we've got to get, but that core batch, we've got to find a way of getting them ticking, where they're playing with a decent intensity, they're playing with the same hunger, because we have to come out of this period here unscathed, as do every other team. I'm pretty sure Arsenal have this same schedule, don't they? Or Well, maybe not as intense, but they're in the
Pretty
Europa League. Just like
much,
it's got to be pretty
yeah.
much the same.
Well,
This is the
anyone,
big
I guess,
question marks. Anyone
European
in Europe,
football, they're going to
anyone
have
in
those
Europe.
kind of things. Yeah,
So all the teams
exactly.
that we're trying to compete with at the top end of the league, City got to come out of it unscathed, or still intact, fighting with Arsenal for the league,
Mm.
Liverpool, whatever. Chelsea trying to rebuild. It's the same for all of us. Tottenham, same thing. So we can't afford to be behind the pack because we haven't managed it well, because our second string or our rotation squad players can't come in and deliver. We've got to find a way. We've got to find a way, man. Because if we don't, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but if you go on a bad enough run, it's enough to derail your season. It could be. If you go on a good enough run, it's something to really kick you on. If you have a bit of both, it's enough to hang on in there. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mind that. I don't mind. We're not perfect. We're still going through a transition. We're still finding out about these players. There's a lot that Ten Hag's got to do. If we come out of this and we're just there or thereabouts, yeah, there was a couple of losses in there, but there was a good few wins. Nine games. 9 games. Say there was, I don't know, 3 losses, 5 wins, and maybe a draw.
Well, I'm
It's really
saying,
hard to make it up. But if you lost a couple of games, I'm not saying I want 3 losses. And of course I don't. But in that run, we are playing City away, Chelsea away, Spurs home. There's some tough games there.
yeah, but if you can get through it,
If you can get through it, exactly. So all on to Eric Ten Hag and see hopefully how we can get us shaped up. But I don't think we managed to do that unless we get that second team playing. And Sachiv says the Queen wanted to screw. I don't think the Queen wanted to do that at all. Sachiv, come on. Big up to everyone watching the video. The show has come to an end. We had a lot to talk about, and I know we said we're not going to talk about it again, but I do want to leave by just doing that at the end as we exit, because we all know what it's for. Please, please, just please, smash the like on the video. Remember, we've got Flexing KG show coming up for you guys live 6 p.m, so make sure you tune in for that. And no, we can't vote anymore, so that is closed. So anyone who did vote, the voting has now closed. So thank you to everyone. We will keep you guys updated on whether we have made the shortlist for nominations or not. And we will be back very, very soon with another video this evening, 6 p.m. We're out of here. Peace.